What's going on, guys? Today, we're going to explore together one of the most brutal and bloodiest confrontations in Marvel history, a battle that even the most hardened X-Men fans had to hold their breath watching. A face-off against an entity that even Charles Xavier himself had to admit could not be controlled through psychic means. A being that is not simply the Hulk we once knew, not the gentle Bruce Banner, not the classic Green Hulk, or even the World Breaker Hulk, but something 1,000 times more terrifying. A version of Hulk that had died, descended into hell, and returned wielding the power of the underworld itself. That is Hell Hulk, the Infernal Giant. At Xavier's mansion, the Academy for Young Mutants, a place that was once a symbol of hope and peace between humans and mutants, flames are raging uncontrollably. Wolverine is slammed down with every bone of his adamantium skeleton bent like matchsticks. Colossus, the Steel Giant, has his arms ripped apart like paper. Cyclops, with his devastating eyes, is smashed into the ground without mercy before he can fire a single energy blast. Storm, the weather goddess, is hurled into a wall like a broken rag doll, blood streaming down her face. And amidst that rubble, Hell Hulk stands towering, his entire body engulfed in blue hellfire, his eyes blazing like two bottomless coal pits, his mouth unleashing a roar that belongs neither to man nor to monster, but to ultimate retribution itself. Mutants, sinners, judgment. In that moment, we realize a horrifying truth. This is no longer a battle between superheroes. This is the apocalypse of the mutant race. And that is only the surface of the iceberg known as Hell Hulk's power. To understand why Hell Hulk is not merely a stronger version of the ordinary Hulk, but an entirely different entity in nature and in power. This is not Bruce Banner losing control. This is the soul of pure rage, forged within Hellfire itself. We begin from one of the darkest events in Marvel history, a story told in Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk series. There, we learn a terrifying truth about Bruce Banner and his connection to the world beyond. Hulk is not simply a product of gamma radiation. Hulk is a gateway, a vessel for an ancient entity known as the One Below, All the Supreme Below, the counterpart to the One Above, All the Supreme Above. Every time Banner dies, that gateway opens a little further. And in one alternate reality, that gateway opened completely. Bruce Banner truly died, not in a heroic battle, but in absolute solitude and agony. But instead of finding rest, his soul was pulled straight down into hell, where the One Below All waited. There, across centuries measured in hellish time, Banner's soul was tortured, broken, and remade, until nothing remained but the most primal rage. And from that abyss of despair, a new entity was born. Hell Hulk, the embodiment of infernal wrath, charged with the task of punishing sinful souls on Earth. The first target on Hell Hulk's punishment list was the mutants. Why? Because within the Marvel Universe, there exists a secret cult that believes mutants are not the next step in human evolution, but a mistake of creation, an offense against the natural order. And that cult performed a dark ritual, using the blood of slaughtered mutants to summon Hell Hulk from the underworld. They could not control him, no one can control Hell Hulk, but they could point him toward a target. And like an arrow loosed from a hellish bow, Hell Hulk launched himself straight towards Xavier's mansion. When the voice of Charles Xavier himself echoes across the pages, it carries a confession of anguish and despair. I tried. I used Cerebro to connect with its mind. But when I made contact, I did not feel a mind. I felt billions of souls screaming in agony. Every soul the Hulk had ever killed, every victim of Gamma Fury, all of them imprisoned within that body, and all of them screaming for retribution. I cannot control a mind like that. I cannot control hell. This is the starting point of the tragedy. Hell Hulk's motivation is not conquest or destruction. He is an instrument of judgment, and in his eyes, all mutants are sinners. The X-Men are in the worst possible condition. After years of relentless combat, their roster has been severely weakened. Wolverine has just returned from a long mission and is still in the process of recovery. Jean Grey is absent. She is off-world with the Shi'ar. Magneto, the most powerful among them, has left Earth to deal with a cosmic-level threat. Those who remain are desperate warriors trying to protect their home, and that is their greatest mistake. They still believe they are facing an enemy that can be defeated. The attack of Hell Hulk on Xavier's mansion. At Xavier's mansion, the younger mutants had been evacuated beforehand, thanks to Destiny's premonition. But the core members of the X-Men remained to confront the threat they knew was coming. Cyclops stands on the roof of the mansion, adjusting his visor, ready to unleash devastating energy blasts. Wolverine stands beside him, adamantium claws already extended, the familiar scent of cigar smoke drifting in the wind. Colossus in his steel form, Storm with her lightning white eyes, and Rogue with her gloves removed, ready to absorb the power of any enemy. They are the strongest lineup the X-Men could assemble on short notice. They had faced Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and Onslaught. They are confident that no matter who the enemy is, they can hold their ground. Hell-Hulk does not arrive by road, does not come through a gate or fall from the sky. He appears right in the middle of the mansion's courtyard, quite literally, erupting from the ground. The earth splits open, and from that fissure, a column of blue hellfire erupts violently. Within that column of fire, a massive silhouette slowly rises to its full height. Hell-Hulk stands far taller than a normal Hulk, at least 3.5 meters. His body is no longer the familiar green, but a scorched, burnt black, with cracks across his skin revealing the hellish lava flowing within. From his shoulders protrude razor-sharp bone spikes, and atop his head curve 2 demonic horns. But the most terrifying feature of all is his eyes with no pupils, nothing but 2 soulless blue pits of fire sweeping across the X-Men as though reading their death sentences aloud. Cyclops is the first to react. He shouts, "Fall back," and fires a full-power energy blast, the kind that can punch through mountains, straight into Hell-Hulk's chest. The energy beam strikes Hell-Hulk's body, and nothing happens. It is not repelled, not reflected, not absorbed. It simply vanishes, as though it never existed. Hell-Hulk looks down at Cyclops, and for the first time, he speaks. Energy. From eyes. The sin of destruction. Judgment. And then, with a swing of his arm faster than lightning, Hell-Hulk slams Cyclops into the ground like swatting a fly. Blood sprays from Scott Summers' mouth. His visor shatters, and he lies motionless at the bottom of a crater beneath the earth. One blow. Just one blow, and the greatest tactical leader of the X-Men has been taken down. I will now go back in time to explain why Hell-Hulk was able to do something so unthinkable. Many people mistakenly assume Hell-Hulk is simply Hulk with hellfire. That is like saying an atomic bomb is just fireworks. When Bruce Banner died, and his soul was dragged down to Hell, the one below all did something no other entity had ever done. He fused Banner's soul with the very essence of Hell itself. Every cell in Hell-Hulk's body is no longer a biological cell, but a fragment of the underworld itself. This means Hell-Hulk is unaffected by any physical law of Earth. Cyclops' energy could not harm him because that energy belongs to the world of the living, while Hell-Hulk belongs to the world of the dead. Those 2 worlds cannot interact with each other in any ordinary way. And the crux of it, the detail that few people notice, lies in the very nature of the hellish power that Hell-Hulk possesses. Hell in Marvel is not an ordinary physical location. It is a dimensional realm of punishment, where every soul is tormented by its own sins. And Hell-Hulk is the living embodiment of that principle. He is not only physically powerful, but also possesses the ability to read the sins of his opponents and use those very sins to strike back against them. A mutant who has killed before will feel pain 1,000 times greater when struck by Hell-Hulk. A mutant who has used their power to destroy will find that power turned against them. This is no longer a physical battle, but a trial, one where Hell-Hulk is both judge and executioner. Back to the battle, Colossus charges forward the moment Cyclops goes down. With the full force of his steel body, he drives a straight punch directly into Hell-Hulk's face. A punch like this could collapse a building, but when it connects with Hell-Hulk's face, it produces nothing more than a hollow metallic clang. Hell-Hulk does not budge. He slowly turns to look at Colossus, and in his eyes, we can detect a strange flicker of recognition. Steel protects the weak, but has also killed. The sin of violence. Hell-Hulk seizes Colossus's right arm and begins to squeeze. The sound of straining metal fills the air, and Colossus screams in agony as his protective steel shell begins to crack. No one has ever been able to break Colossus's organic steel through ordinary strength, but Hell-Hulk does not use ordinary strength. He uses hellish power to destabilize the molecular structure of the steel, turning it as brittle as glass, and then, with one violent yank, he tears Colossus's right arm clean from his body. Blood pours out like a geyser, and Colossus collapses, unconscious from shock. Wolverine roars in fury. He and Colossus have been teammates for years, close friends, brothers in battle. Watching his brother be torn apart like that, Wolverine loses all control. He launches himself at Hell-Hulk at maximum speed. Adamantium claws aim straight for the enemy's throat. But Hell-Hulk, with his ability to read sins, has already foreseen every line of attack. He knows that Wolverine is an assassin, someone who has killed more people than any other X-Man, and for someone like that, the punishment will be the most devastating of all. Hell-Hulk catches both of Wolverine's arms midair and begins to squeeze. For the first time in his life, Wolverine feels his adamantium bones, the hardest metal in the Marvel Universe, beginning to bend under the power of Hell. Assassin. Hundreds of lives taken. The sin of blood. Hell-Hulk snaps each of Wolverine's claws like toothpicks, then slams him into the ground with a force so tremendous it carves a crater into the mansion's courtyard. This is the moment I personally believe stands as one of the most terrifyingly destructive displays of power in X-Men history. With Wolverine, Colossus, and Cyclops all taken down, only Storm and Rogue remain standing between Hell-Hulk and the young mutants hiding in the underground bunker beneath the mansion. Storm soars into the sky, summoning the full extent of her power. The heavens darken, thunder roars, and winds reaching hundreds of kilometers per hour begin to lash Hell-Hulk's body. She conjures a massive tornado directly around him, with bolts of lightning striking down in an unrelenting barrage. Each bolt carries the energy of a bomb, and they strike continuously without pause. But Hell-Hulk simply stands there, at the eye of the storm, completely unaffected. The hellfire burning across his body blazes even fiercer when met with the wind. And then he leaps, a jump carrying the full force of Hell, punching straight through the tornado and driving his fist directly into Storm. The blow does not merely defeat Storm physically, it carries with it punishment for her sins. Storm had once wielded her weather powers to devastate, had caused floods and droughts in the days when she was worshipped as a goddess across Africa. And now, all the suffering she had brought upon others through the weather comes crashing back into her own body. Storm plummets like a shot bird, her entire body convulsing from pain beyond description. Rogue is the last one standing. She knows she cannot defeat Hell-Hulk through strength, but she possesses another weapon, her absorption ability. If she can touch Hell-Hulk and absorb a portion of his hellish power, perhaps she will have a chance. Rogue lunges forward, both bare hands seizing Hell-Hulk's face, and immediately she screams, not from physical pain, but from what she sees. In absorbing Hell-Hulk's power, she simultaneously connects with every soul imprisoned within him. Millions, billions of souls screaming, begging for release, confessing their own sins. And among them, Rogue recognizes familiar faces, mutants who had died, enemies the X-Men had once defeated, and even friends she had lost. They are all inside Hell-Hulk, and they are all suffering. This is the true climax, and also the moment we come to understand Hell-Hulk's true nature. He is not simply a monster. He is a prison, a mobile hell, a place where the souls of all who died at the hands of Hulk or were connected to the Gamma Rage are held captive. And his purpose is not to kill, but to collect more souls. Every mutant he defeats does not die instead. Their soul is pulled into his body, joining the army of the condemned. That is why Hell-Hulk does not kill the X-Men outright. He wants them alive so they can endure eternal torment within him. But Rogue, in the moment of her connection with Hell-Hulk, accomplishes what no one else could. She reaches the last remaining fragment of Bruce Banner's humanity. Deep within that hell, a small piece of the man Bruce Banner still exists. The scientist, the father, the man who spent his entire life in regret over what he had done. And Rogue, with every last ounce of her strength, whispers into Hell-Hulk's ear, "Bruce, I know you are still in there. You do not want this. Please stop. I am begging you." For one fleeting moment, Hell-Hulk falters. The hellfire burning across his body flickers, as though being extinguished. But then, the instinct to punish returns, stronger than ever. Hell-Hulk hurls Rogue away, and she slams into a wall with a force so powerful she loses consciousness instantly. But that moment of hesitation was enough to save everyone's lives. Because while Hell-Hulk was distracted, Charles Xavier had gathered every last remnant of his psychic power. With Cerebro destroyed, he cannot control Hell-Hulk, but he can do something else. Create an illusion, a false reality within Hell-Hulk's mind. Xavier conjures the image of the One Below All itself, commanding Hell-Hulk to return to Hell because the mission has been completed. This is the most reckless gamble of Xavier's life. If Hell-Hulk sees through the deception, it will all be over. But the fragment of Bruce Banner's humanity, just reawakened by Rogue, is weakened just enough to believe the illusion. With one final roar that shakes the entire mansion to its foundation, Hell-Hulk leaps upward, tears through the ceiling, and vanishes into a hellgate opening in the sky above. Xavier's mansion has been completely destroyed. Cyclops suffered fractures to most of his ribs and would need months to recover. Colossus lost an arm, and although it was later reconstructed through Beast's technology, he would never forget what it felt like to be torn apart like that. Wolverine, for the first time in his life, had to confront the truth that his adamantium claws are not invincible. Storm suffered severe psychological trauma, and it took many therapy sessions with Xavier. before she could regain control of her powers. And Rogue, she still endures nightmares about the screaming of billions of souls trapped inside Hell Hulk. For the first time, the X-Men were forced to face a brutal truth. There are forces out there that they cannot defeat, not through strength, not through tactics, not through unity. Hell Hulk is not an enemy that can be beaten. He is a natural disaster, a hellstorm, and all they could do was survive. And that raises a terrifying question. If Hell Hulk returns, and he most certainly will return, what can they do besides die? This speaks to the very nature of atonement. Every X-Man carries sin within them. They have killed, they have destroyed, they have caused suffering, even if for noble purposes. And Hell Hulk is the embodiment of the truth that no sin is ever forgotten, that no action ever goes without consequence. He is a mirror reflecting the sins of every mutant, and in that mirror, they see themselves not as heroes, but as monsters. So, is Hell Hulk the most powerful enemy the X-Men have ever faced? The answer is yes, but not because of physical strength. He is the most powerful because he strikes at the greatest weakness of every mutant, their past. Every blow he delivers does not only wound the body, but wounds the soul. Every word he speaks is not merely a threat, but a verdict passed upon sins already committed. And in a world where mutants must constantly fight to be accepted, to prove they are not a threat, being forced to confront the sins of their past is the most devastating thing that can happen to them. In conclusion, sometimes the most fearsome enemy is not the one who is physically the strongest, but the one who can reach into the deepest wounds of your soul. Hell Hulk has proven that true power does not lie in muscle, but in the ability to turn an opponent's sins into a weapon. And for the X-Men, people who have spent their entire lives fighting for justice yet have also made countless mistakes. Hell Hulk is the worst nightmare imaginable. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? If Hell Hulk were to return, is there any mutant who could truly defeat him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And if you want to support us even further so we can continue producing in-depth analysis videos like this every day, we would truly appreciate it. Thank you all for being here with us, and I will see you in the next universe story. Peace out.